How's it going, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Proyectos Los Carnales. Today we're working on my buddy Canica's 2021 RST. We're doing this another how-to video, and the reason we're doing this is because we're gonna be dropping this 2021 RST, and we're gonna be doing a 4-inch drop in the front and a 6 in the back. We're gonna mess with it a little more. It might get a little bit lower than what it is, but so far we got Canica right here. How's it going, guy?
You mind showing the fans why they call you Canica?
No, they don't.
Really?
Looking for another channel.
When it comes to the tailgate, there's this wire harness right here. You guys could probably see it goes right there in the middle. This is a connector for the tailgate itself. So all you have to do is unplug these, undo these little clips, and then pull it out from the hole over there. That way your tailgate comes off, and you could take off the 6 bolts that your bed carries. So that's just the easy setup.
My bad, bro.
So on this gorgeous 2021 RST, we're doing the 4-6 drop kit on this. So the 4-6 drop kit consists of front spindles and struts, and then the rear we got the flip kit, C-notches, and little items. But the correct details, let me dig in a little. The spindles are gonna drop you 2 inches. These struts, they have all these little rings, and then at the end this sits in there to retain the spring. But when it depends on how many you take out. You could either do a 1, 2, or 3-inch drop off of the strut alone. With this, you could make it. We could even go as deep as a 5-inch drop. So we'll see. We'll keep that a little later. For the rear components, we have the original shocks. These are just standard, nothing special with them. They're just for lower trucks. It comes with brand new U-bolts, the actual flip kit, the little item where the U-bolt goes through and bolts up to. These are, if you wanna, I'll show you guys what I mean as soon as we do the actual flip. But we're gonna drop it 7 inches with the flip kit, and these are gonna bring it up 1 inch to make it a 6. We're gonna choose to go without this, so we could leave it a 7-inch in the back. It does come with a whole new design, C-notch, and it's a full bolt through. These are both sides. This is for the little member that's right there between the gas tank and the frame, so it could actually clear. You guys could see right here, it's like a C channel, so it could actually help the driveline clear. And it comes with a new transmission mount to also help with the driveline clearance. And you guys could see how low profile this is compared to an original one. It does have all the hardware here, all the bolts, the cushions, and everything for the complete Belltech kit. So this is the kit that we're going to be running on this truck. If you got a Belltech, which is one of the biggest companies that makes the drop for the 19, 20, 21 Silverados, it's the most common one and the better looking one that we've seen so far. We're gonna be installing it on this and show you guys roughly, you know, if you're doing this at home, you got yourself one of these Silverados, and you just want to take that liberty and do it on your own, you guys could do it with us step by step. Just like everything, guys, step 1, we have our lift set up already. We're gonna remove this bed, we remove the tailgate already, and we remove the bolts in the bottom. We have the straps in across so we could take it off. And that's something we use on all the trucks, just so we could get the bed out of the way and, you know, do the cutting and everything more freely, and it'll be better for the recording. Off of the truck, Canica giving us a hand, and we got the Carnal Oscar also just sitting on it, making sure the truck doesn't go anywhere.
No, we're trying to see how it would look level.
Oh, okay, we're trying to level it with Oscar in the back. All right, guys, so once the bed's off, we're gonna go, first things first, get rid of the easy stuff. We're gonna get rid of the shocks. You got them both on here. Up here it's gonna be a 13/16 or 21 millimeter. And the bottom, same exact thing. You're gonna need a wrench on one side and then just a socket and a ratchet on the other. You're gonna want to remove these brake lines. They go bolted up right here on the side. They're a 13 millimeter bolt. And then right here we're just gonna prop this up so we can move the brake lines to the side and not mess with them at all. So all right, so we have the frame itself being held by the lift, and we got the differential with the jack. So right now we're keeping everything steady. Next step, we're gonna take off these shackles. You're actually gonna use a 13/16 socket and wrench on this, a deep socket, and then we're gonna move over to the U-bolts. Down here we're gonna remove them. They're gonna be a 15/16, and when you take that off, we have our jack under there so it doesn't move and get out of the way. And we got the frame already being stabilized right here, so it's not gonna affect when we take off the differential. We're gonna move from the back to the front, and then we're gonna take those off next. So once you got the U-bolts off, we're gonna take this away from the leaf springs themselves. But don't forget, you gotta take off the drive shaft, and it's gonna be 4 15mm bolts, and then just slide this forward inside of the transmission and let it hang. It won't be in your way no more.
Bolt. It's 15/16, and it's just the outside because the inside has a like a clip. Slippery little suckers. There you go.
That's a clip that holds itself. All right, so we're gonna have Kanika kind of take the weight off of the leaf spring. Right here, we're just gonna take off the bottom bolt and pretty much shove something through it. That way it'll actually help push it all the way out. Once you get this back out, it's loose and ready to go. We're just gonna drop the frame a little, put the leaf under the differential, and actually set up the flip kit itself, and we'll take it to the next steps. So on the leaf spring, since we got them loose, we got them off the truck, we're actually just gonna put a pair of some C-channel clamps so we can hold the edges. And right here in the bottom, there's like a little circle. You're gonna use a pair of vice grip pliers, and up here it's gonna be a 15mm socket. You're pretty much gonna take it off, flip the bolt upside down so the round part's on the top, and get rid of this little wavy bracket. So the final result is this. We got the leaf spring with the U pointing upward, and we have the round part up here, which is gonna go right on the actual flip, and then we have the socket area pointing towards the bottom. Okay, I got it. All right, so this is a flip kit, guys. Right here you see a little square. You have to take off the brake line. It's a 13mm bolt that goes right here. And then once you take that off, you're actually gonna sneak this in the back, and then sneak it back forward. Once it's nice and on, drop the differential slowly, and then you're gonna guide in the bottom. The bottom has a little hole that goes into the slot for the leaf spring. So the slot's over here. It's roughly where the hole's gonna line up straight on. And once it's down, like I said, you just push it, and now you can see it's nice and steady. We're gonna set up our U-bolts and take it from there. You're gonna want to put on the little bracket in the U-bolts. So the bracket I'm talking about is the one that kind of looks like a bullhorn. You put it in the top flat part of the differential, and then you put the U-bolts straight through it. So that's how it looks from the top. You just put the U-bolt, these little hooks. The hook area is the area that's gonna hold it.
Trying to record over here, fuckers.
The hook area is gonna hold the U-bolt that goes through, and then down here you guys are gonna see these little plaques. The center hole right here is kind of offset. That's gonna go towards the front. So you just put the plaque like this, and I'm gonna put the camera upside down. So you put it, everything went through. You put the washer, and then you put the nut, and then you do that on all of them, and you tighten them. And these are gonna be the 15/16s that come in the kit, and then you just torque them to spec. Oh, sorry, I was recording the wrong area. But this but this is what you're gonna pretty much end up with, and then the 4 bolts all around. All right, guys, so our next step right here is gonna be the C-notch. I like doing it when the wheels are obviously off, because you could actually sit in here and get a better access. If you bought the Belltech kit, we got ours on Amazon, and for some reason it didn't come with a special little template. That way it guides you exactly where to cut. We pretty much just measured this and kind of like sat it in place. You see right there the little kind of like oval area on the frame. This sits right inside of it. We're gonna get through the cutting part, and then afterwards I'm gonna just drill some holes, and then when I drill the holes, just put the bolts through it and get to go. I'm not gonna bore you guys with this part. You already know what's up. All you have to do is cut a C-channel out of this, slip this right over it, and then when you slip the actual C-notch over the frame, you have the back part of the C-notch that goes on it. So I'll show you guys right here real quick, upside down. Once the C-notch is, let's say it's hugging the frame already all the way through, this literally goes like this, kind of like inside out, I guess we could say. And you see that it slides into it. But these holes are meant to line up with each other. And then obviously these 3 holes on both sides are the ones where the bolt goes through for the C-notch, so they hug the frame all the way through. Alright guys, so we got the C-notches on both sides already. You can see that side set up. On the driver's side, the brake lines go through here. It has 2 threads, so you can actually put the OEM bolts through it and hold the bracket again. So your C-notch is on there, nice and bolted on. You're gonna need a 1/2 inch drill bit, and then alright guys, so the last step under this truck is going to be the transmission mount. And this is what the original one looks like. Its location goes right here. You guys could see the holes. 2 holes right here, and then one that goes straight down. So the holes that are up here is a 15mm socket to take them off. I mean a wrench. And then in the bottom of the transmission cross member, there's 3 holes. In the middle hole, you're just going to put a long, a deep 18mm socket with an extension. And that'll get out the nut that goes on the transmission mount. So this is what a stock one looks like. It's a few inches tall, and this is what comes in the kit. It's probably like 1 inch long. So the reason for that is to drop the angle of the transmission a bit. That's why we got our cross member on the other side. That way the drive line clears, there's no vibrations, nothing crazy. So we got the back of the truck set up. Now we're switching over to the front, guys, and we're gonna show you a real quick step on this. First things first, we're gonna get rid of these brakes. Once we get rid of the brakes, we're gonna be able to access the spindle, and then we'll show you guys how to do that. But first, we're gonna remove this caliper and then get rid of this rotor so we could get in the back. So to get everything rolling, we have to take off all these little wire connections, and they're gonna be a bunch of 10mm bolts. They're gonna be in the front and in the back of the spindle, and the side you're gonna see them everywhere. Take off the 10mm, that way these wires are gonna be loose and free. And then we're gonna take off the 18mm bolts in the back caliper bracket. That way this will just fall off as one unit. So we have our brake caliper with pads and everything off on the side. Our next step, we're gonna loosen the ball joint. Upper one is gonna be an 18mm, and down here the lower one is gonna be a 15/16. So those we're just gonna loosen all the way towards the tip. And then, so we have the top one loosened already. You guys could see it kind of got off already. The bottom ball joint one, we have it all the way at the edge. The reason for that is we're gonna hit it right here on the mark indicators. So once we start hitting it and it drops, we don't want it to fall on our feet. It'll catch it right here. Don't just leave it on the last thread, you know, leave a couple of threads in there. That way it catches, and then you just loosen it and everything comes out smoothly. But before we take that off, we're gonna switch over here to the tie rod. And then in the tie rod, we're actually gonna be using a 21 or 13/16mm. This one we're just gonna take all the way off, hit the tie rod up, and then be done with it. All right, so we have everything loosened. We got the tie rod bolts out. The rotor is gonna be a T30, and that's because it's a hex bit. So once we get that out, the rotor should just slip out. And ta-da! We are good to go. Now we're just gonna, you see it has 4 bolts, 2 on the top and then 1 on each side. They're gonna be 18mm bolts as well to take off the actual hub and the dust shield. Once that comes off, we'll be able to fully expose we're gonna be able to fully expose the spindle itself. All right, so the tie rod is off. This one was a little kind of painful to take out. I just lightly tapped the bottom of this and it popped right out. The spindle's free now. You guys can see it. The upper ball joint is loosened all the way to the edge. The top is popped off. The lower ball joint is loosened all the way to the edge, and then the top is popped off too. You guys can see it when I move it. So the next step on this, I removed the wheel hub and the dust shield. They do have like these little O-rings, so you're gonna have to lightly tap the back to kind of pry it forward. I showed you guys the 4 bolts, so there's 2 right on the top and then 1 on each edge. That's 4 bolts, and they are the 18mm as well. So once all that comes off, you're left with a pretty much bare naked spindle. Just take off the bolts. We're gonna do the top first, then the bottom, and the whole spindle is gonna come out. With the strut, we took off the bottom bolts already. They're just a 15 millimeter bolt. It's a really long bolt. It goes right under here. So you see the two slots, that's 1 and 2 right there where they go facing up. So you just put a 15 millimeter socket here and loosen it all the way. Before you take off the spindle, you're gonna see that it's gonna drop and you're gonna have like some little resistance, but your sway bar link is actually gonna keep it a little bit steady for you. And then now the strut's gonna be kind of loose. We're gonna move to the top of the strut. It's gonna be an 18 millimeter. Yeah, they're pretty repetitive. They use 18, 15, 13, 16s a lot, and it just makes it easier for you to do this on your own. So it has 3 bolts. You just have to remove the plastic cover, and then we're gonna slide this all the way out right now as soon as we get rid of the spindle. So everything looks pretty empty right here. We just literally have the strut left. So the strut, we're gonna remove it. We showed you the 15 millimeters in the bottom. Up here it has these 3 bolts, 1, 2, and the third one's back there. They're 18 millimeters as well. Get to them however you could get to them, whether it's the top or the bottom. We usually just go through the bottom on them and get them out pretty quick. We're gonna remove the strut assembly itself, and then we're gonna show you how to do the new struts, because you have to choose your lower kit on it, and I'll explain that in the next clip. All right guys, so we got the struts out, and you can see a difference right here. So I'm pretty much gonna go over it real quick. The lowering struts are lowering struts because of these rings. So when you put all these rings on here, it does a drop. So we took all the rings out, only left the one, and then you grab the base and you put it on. So once the base is on, you put it like this, it goes down and it locks into place. And right here is where the spring is actually gonna sit. And you guys could see the original strut is a flat base as well, so you won't be scared or anything. So like this on a 4x4 truck, we have a 3-inch drop. It's a little bit different for a 2-wheel drive, and like I said, I have the instruction manual right here. That way I'm explaining it exactly how it is on there. So we do have a 2-wheel drive truck. We do want to do a 3-inch drop. So on this one, it would start with 3 big rings and the 1 little one instead of the 4 big rings. So since we want to do the 3, we're only going to use the small ring, and there's only 2 sizes, guys. So it's either 15 millimeter or 7.5. All the rings are this size. There's only one that's this size, so it's pretty obvious to tell which one it is. So we're gonna go with the 3-inch. Only apply this ring, put our base on there, and then remove the strut. I'll show you guys how to remove the strut with the, I call it a rental tool, because it's easier. If you don't do this often, you could just rent it. You could always buy the kit, but if you rent it like at a AutoZone or O'Reilly, whatever, you get your money back. So that's it, you don't spend money. But that's a quick breakdown on how these actually work and what these rings do to it. And yeah, I'm gonna just assemble this real quick and then go over the tool. So this is the kit you're looking for. I think it's called like a McPherson strut compressor, something weird. At the end of the day, this is what it looks like. You're gonna have your strut right here, and you pretty much put the bottom one at the lowest spot you could possibly get it in. It's gonna be here. So we're just gonna open this shit up, this thing. And then the top one goes at the highest spot possible and the bottom one in the lowest. You just start compressing both sides. And you'll notice I have two 19 or 3/4 sockets, because sometimes they rub up against the edge and they get hard to take off or put it back on. So if you have two, you have no issue with them binding up. So you guys could see that we already have some gap right here. That means it doesn't have 100% tension on it no more. So we could take off the center bolt, which is going to be an 18 millimeter, and start slipping the spring out. So we have the spring on the side. I try not to move it so that the spring stays with its own alignment. The bottom plate literally is just flat, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'd leave it sideways and just slip in the bottom and try to pull it out through the top. So once the top peeps through, you just put your new nut on there. And then this is gonna be a 5/8 or a 16 millimeter. You just tighten this all the way through and you'll be good to go. All right guys, so there's a little, I'm gonna just say a trick that I do, I guess. The tip of the strut has like a little flat area. I just grab some vice grips since it's pretty loose on there. I just put the vice grips nice and heavy on there, and then with the 18 millimeter socket, I just put a wrench in there and start twisting. So eventually what happens is this right here starts holding the vice grips so that the metal doesn't move anywhere, and I start loosening with a wrench. So if the impact does not pull it out at the first try like this one did on me, you just do this and then you loosen it slow and steady, but it's gonna get the job done, guys. The same thing for when you put it on the new strut. Same exact method, just put it on. It's gonna hit on the back side of the vice grip while you're tightening. So keep it simple. All right, so we have all the parts we're putting back on to get this all together. First things first, this is how the strut ends up looking afterwards. We're gonna pick up the strut and install it first so it can hold the arms. So the strut flat part goes right here in these two hooks, and then the two hooks go up here in the front, and then the one by itself goes in the back. So we're just gonna end up sliding it in like that and putting it in its location. Afterwards, we're gonna do the spindle, do the ball joints, tie rod, and then do the center. For the strut itself, as soon as we slide it into its location, the top bolts are gonna be 18 millimeter, and then the bottom is gonna be 15s. All right guys, so we got the strut on, 18 in the front and the top, 15 in the bottom. Next step, we're gonna put our spindle on. We're gonna put the upper ball joint obviously here, lower ball joint here. We're gonna put it on by itself, and then we're gonna put it in the middle, the hub. So remember, on the tie rod, it's a 21 or 13/16, lower ball joint 15/16, and then the upper ball joint is gonna be an 18 millimeter. Put them all on, tighten them up, and then afterwards we're gonna start setting up the rest. All right guys, so we have the spindle, like I said, 3 bolts, upper, lower ball joint, tie rod, and it's not going nowhere. Next, we just put the 4 bolts through by themselves, the ones that go for the bearing. So what we're first gonna do is put these O-rings on, and let me throw those on right now. All right, so we got the O-rings on, and then we have the 4 bolts on. We're gonna put our dust shield first. Obviously you could tell the 2 bolts that are close to each other in the top, the 2 far in the bottom, so this is the top. Another way to tell is the caliper goes on this side, so obviously that's the cutout. But just slide this over the bolts, and then make sure the bolts all peep through correctly. And then our next step is just gonna be to actually install a bearing. So this is our bearing, and then we're gonna look for the, like I said, the bolt pattern. We got the 2 close patterns right here in the top, so make sure that's facing up, and we're just gonna slide it forward. And when we slide it in there, we're gonna turn the bolts in the back. We're gonna tighten these, and these are 18 millimeter in the back, so make sure to know that once you put the bearing through. All right, so you got the bearing on nice and tight. Tighten the back 4 bolts that go to the hub. Next, we're gonna put the rotor so we can start putting the caliper. The rotor sitting right here. Remember, right here is a T30 socket. There's 2 holes. This one's just empty. This one actually has threads, so make sure you line it up with this one so you can put it in its correct location. Now we're just gonna slide it on, put the bolt through, and use a T30 to tighten it. All right, so we got the rotor on. Now we're just gonna put the caliper. Hole 1 and hole 2, both of them go back here in these brackets, up here and then down here. They use these 18 millimeter bolts. I'm not gonna record that process because I'm gonna need both hands to put that caliper on and then slide in the bolts. But you know exactly where they go, right over the rotor where they always go. So our caliper is on already. Our last step before putting everything on, obviously double check all your bolts are tight. But we're gonna put all these I'm gonna just call them little 10mm socket brackets. So these are the ones that hold your ABS system and the different items. You're gonna put them all throughout the spindle wherever they go. You took them off when you put them on. When you remove those, they're gonna be 6 of them on the driver's side and 5 on the passenger. All right guys, so once you put all these random little lines where they go, obviously you can make sure they don't hit anything while it turns. You're pretty much good to go. We're just gonna put on the tire right now, and then we're gonna show you guys the drop with the wheel on. All right guys, this is a big reveal. Canika's feeling anxious. The jack is coming down. I don't think we could get the jack out of there. I do not think we could get the jack out of there. The jack officially got stuck under the valence. Jálale duro. My guy, how's it feel?
Sick. Fuck yeah.
Chulada. It got a little late on us. All we have to do is a little cut in the back by the fuel tank and the bottom of the bed, and then we're gonna be ready to roll out. This is the stance that you get when you drop with the 5.7. All right guys, so like I said it before, man, this thing is gorgeous. We're officially done. We ended up doing a 5-inch drop in the front. We do have the new lower control arms coming in because you do see that it kind of sneaks in a little bit, and we want to go low, so we don't mind that right now. We're just gonna get some new upper control arms to fix that issue right there. But overall, the truck is tucking perfectly. No issues with it at all. No rubbing. Everything's A1. In the back over here, we ended up doing the 7-inch drop, and like I said, it fits perfect, gorgeous, no issues, no nothing. And that is it for this video, guys. So if you guys have a brand new 19, 20, 21 Silverado, Sierra, whatever it is, this is a video on how to lower your truck. You guys could do anything with this kit. It could be a 3.6, 4.6, a 5.7. Just know with the 5.7 you have to get the upper arms, so keep that in mind, guys. But this is it. My name is Julio from Proyectos Los Carnales. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have different trucks or anything you guys want to see on the videos coming up, feel free to put it in my comments or shoot me a message on my Instagram. But for now, like always, doing some how-to videos and helping people out along the way. Have a good one.